Hi everybody, I'm Ted. Today I'm going to compare the general features of IELTS and CELPIP in detail. I hope this video is helpful for you to decide which test you should take between IELTS and CELPIP. Let's get right into it. First things first, what do those abbreviations stand for? IELTS stands for the International English Language Testing System, and CELPIP stands for the Canadian English Language Proficiency Index Program. From those full names, you can guess that IELTS is the English language test, while CELPIP is the Canadian English language test. It can be controversial what Canadian English really is though. IELTS uses a variety of accents and writing styles in the test material to minimize linguistic biases. It is said that the accents in the IELTS listening section are 80% British, Australian, New Zealander, and 20% is others accents, mostly American. On CELPIP, by contrast, you can listen to the test material in the Canadian English accents 100%, obviously including A. On top of that, in the CELPIP writing test, you should demonstrate your knowledge of how to write things in the Canadian way. For example, when you write an email to your boss, your greeting should be hi and your boss's last name, like hi Dave, rather than dear Dave or dear sir, which is considered too formal in Canada. Second, the test purpose. IELTS measures the language proficiency of people who want to study or work in an English-speaking country. CELPIP assesses a test taker's English abilities in a variety of everyday situations. To put it another way, IELTS assesses a test taker's proficiency in more universal situations, including university lectures by professors, while CELPIP focuses more on ordinary day-to-day context, including workplace situations. Third, the test form. You can take IELTS both on paper and on a computer, but the speaking module is only conducted in the form of an one-on-one interview by an examiner. The examiner assesses the test taker's speaking abilities as he or she is speaking. When it comes to CELPIP, however, you take all parts of the test only on a computer, which is something they are certainly proud of. Here are some possible benefits of CELPIP being taken fully computer-based. If you don't feel comfortable with being interviewed by a native English-speaking examiner, it will be a big benefit for you. Because in CELPIP, you record your answers through a headset microphone sitting in front of a computer. In addition, unlike in the IELTS writing test, in the CELPIP writing test, the test software not only counts the number of words you typed, but also indicates your misspelled words. But please keep in mind that the CELPIP writing test spell checker only finds your misspelled words, not all of your mistakes, particularly not grammar mistakes. It's better than nothing though. Fourth, the test duration. Both IELTS and CELPIP take about 3 hours to complete the 4 parts. The IELTS listening test takes 30 minutes and 10 minutes extra to transfer your answers to an answer sheet, so totally 40 minutes. The CELPIP listening test takes 47 to 55 minutes, so the CELPIP listening test takes up to 15 minutes longer than the IELTS listening test. The reading and writing test take almost the same amount of time in IELTS and CELPIP. The IELTS reading and writing test take 60 minutes and the CELPIP reading and writing test take 55 to 60 minutes. The IELTS speaking test takes 15 minutes and the CELPIP speaking test takes 15 to 20 minutes. So the CELPIP speaking test takes up to 5 minutes longer than the IELTS speaking test. So generally speaking, there is no significant difference between IELTS and CELPIP when it comes to test duration. However, unlike CELPIP, in which you take the full test in one sitting, IELTS gives you the option to take the speaking test on a separate day from the listening, reading, and writing test when it's available. Fifth, the test location. IELTS is one of the most popular English language tests all over the world. You can take IELTS in more than 1,200 locations worldwide. By contrast, you can take CELPIP only in a limited number of areas in Canada, India, Philippines, United Arab Emirates, and United States. Furthermore, for CELPIP, you're allowed to retake the test only after 30 days have passed since your last test. However, you can take IELTS as often as you want. So if you live in a place where you cannot take CELPIP, or if you want to take a test more once a month, IELTS can be better than CELPIP for you. Sixth, the test fee. The cost of both tests can vary according to where you take the test. In Canada, you can take IELTS for from $280 to $320. On the other hand, you can take CELPIP for $280 in most areas in Canada. Thus, if you take the test in Canada, the CELPIP test fee is slightly cheaper than or almost the same with the IELTS test fee depending on the place where you take IELTS in. You can check the test fee in a specific location through the link down below. Seventh, the test result turnaround. In IELTS, you are able to view unofficial test results online on the 13th day after your test day, and the official result is also sent by mail on the 13th day, or you may pick up your result in the IELTS Canada main office in Kitchener after 12 p.m. on the 13th day after your test day. In CELPIP, the result is available online in 8 business days, which usually means 10 days because of the weekend, and the printed copy of the result is sent by the regular mail on the day that the result becomes available. However, there is an option to order express rating for $100 extra. This way, you can check out the result in 3 business days, and the printed copy of the result is sent by the express mail, so you can receive the copy in 3 or 4 business days. Finally, the difficulties of test. I think you want to know the most about this, but unfortunately, it's not very easy to tell which test is easier to get a high score. In general, it is said that the difficulties of IELTS and CELPIP are reasonably similar, which aligns my personal experience. However, you can get a higher score on one test than the other depending on a few factors. Tests are tests, so if you're more familiar with one test than the other, you're likely to get a higher score on the more familiar one. Furthermore, if you feel comfortable with taking the speaking test face-to-face with an examiner, I recommend you take IELTS to get a higher score. Otherwise, you should take CELPIP since CELPIP is taken on a computer, including the speaking part, in which you record your answers through a headset microphone in front of a computer, as I mentioned earlier. On top of that, if you are used to Canadian English and its accent, the possibilities of getting a higher score on CELPIP is more likely. Today I've compared the general features of IELTS and CELPIP. I hope this information is helpful so you can decide which test is more appropriate for you. In the next video, I'm going to talk about why I changed to CELPIP even though I studied for IELTS for a while. I'll share my experience as a CELPIP test taker for the next few months. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel and my blog, likearhino.com, so you don't miss out. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope to see you next time.